It was 13-11 from TSM, with love to Envy, which a win for TSM, and Burger Boys struggled against Sad Esports 13-10, but that was also a win. So two very different opponents, and TSM winning a map against Envy, or just going the distance against Envy, says a lot. So we'll see if TSM can keep going, or if they're going to start choking right before the finish line. Who knows? TSM have been good, have been great, have been okay. We need to see consistency.
I hope that I'm dyslexic and that Practo is actually short for protractor, because you're going to rely on him to use the shock darts to break a lot of this util so that Burger Boys can really get into these site execs. So Practo staying alive is probably the most important piece right now for Burger Boys' attack.
And Burger Boys, well, who cares how many flashes they have when just there's no one there to flash. So Bonnie, just jump in.
I must wait a moment.
Now you got a plant, and TSM just trying to poke their heads out of tree, which being kept closed there by Practo, who almost dropped the spike on his way to planting there. So a bit of a delay, but Burger Boys still get it done. Now TSM started to surround them. While Burger Boys at least don't have a flank to worry about, but do have this tree push to do so. TSM flood in, and this is the scrappiness that Burger Boys can really thrive into. 1v1, recoil versus Bonnie, and a right click as recoil jumps down. Burger Boys with the pistol.
And I think the right click from recoil did enough damage too. Well, probably not enough because he was still at 21, but dude, those bullets almost fully connected. And you're seeing here the flood retakes from TSM. That's also something I didn't talk about, is the net that's actually refreshable on the side of TSM is going to be quite good to deal with against Burger Boys as soon as they take the sites. But that said, it really came down to a right-click classic from both ends that could have been on the side of TSM, but thankfully here, Bonnie had more HP to work with, and they allow themselves to get a very, very good start on their attack side pistol.
Burger Boys won both pistols, or no, actually just one of the pistols, but sort of break or just clip the wings of TSM early is always good. Yeah,
they're just trying to play a contact trap play for TSM to start. So you're seeing here the jiggles coming out from Sims so that you could throw a net here from 7 and throw the salvos after from Vora. Unfortunately, not going to work out because everybody's trying to work up here towards Catwalk. And also towards Market to split towards B in the end. Actually, as this might still work out. There are 4 men walking towards A main because they didn't get anything contested as of yet. They could still have strong util to play a flood retake here because all 4 players are going to stay alive.
Marshals isn't easy to play around either, but with all the space in the world, I guess it's hunting season for Burger Boys. Now the spike, definitely leaning towards B, trusting the call from Bonnie to cut through Market.
30 seconds left.
Through now the backside of B, so a lot rests on recoil and what he's able to withstand on the approach against Bonnie, and even the flash is what helps Bonnie thrive in that moment. Now a plant. Now it's time to protect, and it's TSM that through Market now have to break down the door, so this is definitely going to alert Burger Boys on the approach from TSM. Now also a split, but it's going to be caught either by the camera or by the trip, so Burger Boys have all their bases covered.
Try to get one pretty much is what TSM is trying to do here.
Man, got the one. Now you know where the last one is. Vora coming up from behind, and Alvin will keep him in check. So Burger Boys, I feel like they know they're the underdog, but man, do they work hard. Just from all the tournaments they do, to how far they push everyone, trying to defy everyone's expectations. There's something special about people doubting you and how much the pettiness, it makes you want to play better almost.
Yeah, especially as an unsigned team, and you're looking at this roster that, you know, kind of came together within this Challengers or the previous one. But the 2 long-standing teammates that have been playing with each other for the longest time is definitely Nanners and Retro. Yes. And I'm thinking, if I'm not mistaken, this is even back into Roy's days with Renegades. Correct me if I'm wrong. You could unmute me there, Roy, and then confirm later. That said, though, this is a big gun round coming in for TSM. Big investments coming through, and that dart costs so much.
Oh, jeez. Burger Boys are being kept in check, and 7 and Sim are barely hanging on. 15 HP, 6 HP. A huge round for Burger Boys. They can keep this up. Now TSM ain't gonna peek you with how low they are, so Burger Boys will get to scale up wherever they want again.
Did some big damage. I mean, look at the HP remaining from Sim and 7. 21. Pretty much all together, and wasted up the wall in the very first place, but nobody's really over-rotating yet on the side of TSM. And that's the tough part about playing this composition. You're playing now a Teo instead of a Sova. You can't dart, you can't drone. Well, you could kind of drone right now if you want for Vora to try to get active around the map, and finally we do so. It might be a little bit too late though, because you realize nobody on middle, and then you're just gonna move towards the B site. You just have to be pristine on your shots now for the anchors in B.
Paranoia from GMD, not falling for the clone. Waits for his 1v1. GMD is a menace. And Burger Boys are almost cut in half. Now left to deal with the last defender here on the site before reinforcements arrive. Small window, but
oh my God.
TSM just coalesce before Burger Boys can address anything.
And that's the thing. Remember, I mentioned Sim had 15 HP. Sim had 6 HP. And they had so many members on the side of Burger Boys to fight into the B site against only 2 players. So there you go. You had to be pristine on your shots. GMD gets 2. Rico survives in the back of the site. They can't clear him. And then they delay long enough to allow TSM to rotate over from the A site. They had everything under Burger Boys to really tempo up here and move towards this B, but not taking any control of middle to split into the B site didn't allow for them to really move as quickly as they really wanted to. And that, they pay the price. TSM able to build the economy, and Burger Boys are about to walk into a net Teo salvo again.
Yeah, salvos. Okay, Bonnie's trying to jump up and above, and it's still a double kill with the salvos.
That's the wall.
And the spike is down, and Burger Boys, I can respect trying to fight fire with fire and responding when they can. And Bonnie still knows Vora is there, and Burger Boys bulldoze their way into B. Then a huge dent into TSM. GMD will be teleporting over to assist, not into the B closet, but rather on the flank. And Nanners has an important job to dislodge that, wins that 1v1. And Recoil, the lone wolf yet again, in a 1 versus 3, meaning Burger Boys could be taking this round on this Recoil pulls a rabbit out of the hat.
In this case, he has a window. His Danners is late on a rotate.
It is possible. Quick flick onto the second. Heard the one from behind. Recoil tries to isolate.
Oh my God.
That was so close.
He dinked it for 145. That would have been the most insane clutch that I would have witnessed here in Challengers on the side of Recoil. Again, he had a perfect timing going through. He forced Burger Boys to really rotate out, but Burger Boys ended up winning that round towards the end. And that was, unfortunately, on the side of TSM, their own fault, too, that they were put in this position. Because, yes, they had a perfect trap play into B main. But it almost felt that 7 felt like he had to save his teammate. I think Vora was stuck towards that front. And when they walled and it got instantly broken, and his teammate's low on HP, he's like, I got to save you somehow. And they both get punished with an overheat to try to trade it out. And Burger Boys is able to turn it across. So you go back into an eco round where you're running the same trap play because it was never discovered in the first place. And now you're gambling towards Cat.
Burger Boys got a ping on GMD, which is like, oh, do you really want to walk in and risk getting paranoid and swung on by Sim? And it's the only confidence you have is that, well, we have the better weapons, so Burger Boys can wait to see TSM pull the trigger on the trap. Bonnie above them too. Shotgun, but also an ult available. The net ready to be thrown from 7 as a response. And it's a stalemate that results in Burger Boys leaving.
I mean, they are giving so much respect here for TSM. They have weaponry, and this is where it's going to render costly. Look at the util. You still have the net available. Salvos are still available because no util is being used, and they can't scan for anything with single left. Initiator. You're going to walk into a trap potentially.
Bonnie gets spotted, and TSM gets him down even when Bonnie had the shotgun. The salvos too are catching Burger Boys at the heel. The Armageddon forces Burger Boys to fight whether they're ready or not. Through the opportunity for TSM, and it's sealed. Oh, shove Burger Boys into a locker.
And the fact that they also broke the gate crash from the Yoru when Retro threw that across, so that nobody's getting out of that net salvo play. And off that kill, Vora gets the Armageddon. That's just a perfect play for TSM. And it was, what, very similar to, if you've been watching the whole day today, chat, it's very similar to the questionable play that came out from Sentinels, for example, or sorry, Cubert Academy on this map, where you're respecting your opponents too much and you're just walking back into a trap because you have zero map control. And then you just get punished for it. And now TSM, they already have an earlier opportunity to turn it back in their favor. Look at this. It's a broken buy. You have a Bucky. You're trying to get this orb, hopefully, here. As you get this control, Retro's going to pick this up. Yes, you have a Bucky to work with. But can you get value out of this? Because there's not too much util to support you out of your dimensional drift. That's the big thing.
This Vice Wall from Recoil is set up for Tree and not through main. And Burger Boys get the orb and now some information to work with. Dimensional drift from Retro. Gonna set himself up below heaven. Check out Tree while he's at it too. And I think this Soma just got walled off. Okay, Practo's stuck, but hey, there's a gap, so he gets out, so never mind. Wall's not that good, so Burger Boys on post plant. All of TSM. Salvo's available. 7 just pulled someone, I believe, with the Annihilation, forcing Burger Boys to fight through it. Hunter's Fury to suppress TSM and does not free his teammate. So TSM with a huge man advantage and a defuse underway. Nothing more that Burger Boys could say about it.
Yeah, and you're just trying to leverage Hunter's Fury as your ultimatum to try to win the round. But when you get no pings, no value, and you see the util that's still available for TSM for the pulse plant, it's so hard for you to run back right after. But you were just mentioning that wall. It looks here on paper where it was ineffective on the side of when Practo was closing that door. But that's also because of the dimensional drift that didn't allow here really TSM to set up in that place. But once you're trying to cross to hit the switch to close the door, the wall just funnels you up there and you're pinned there, and the salvos are going to own you. So TSM's been kind of cooking on how they want to leverage vice walls, grab nets, and salvos to really trap play every single type of defensive round that they're playing. It's not necessarily. Oh, we're gonna hold that thought. Actually, Retro just got an opening.
Oh, Clone didn't get shot. GMD is better. Oh, we just came through Tree. That goes unchecked. No support for GMD, especially now that Recoil's down. So it's a free plan, a really tough retake that TSM have ahead of them. And Sim has to play fast through Tree and to try and surprise Burger Boys and give TSM some options. Wait a minute, Alvin could be sneaking up from behind TSM. So it's all about timing of who's gonna build up. And if Alvin can get into a backstab position, no, TSM is gonna beat him to the punch. And Sim wins his 1v1. Before going down, then Vora takes over and the stab from behind. It's a thrifty for Burger Boys.
That was quite nice, and it almost looked kind of troll when Sim just dashed through, because I thought it was going to be a very similar to, again, what we saw from Cubert Academy. Use salvos to break door, crosshair placement, immediate punish. But leaving Alvin unattended was able to salvage and minimize the damage here on TSM's side, and Burger Boys was able to convert here a much lower buy. But I was just about to commend how, you know, we were mentioning at the desk and how the double senti utility is actually quite nice and how it could stall. But they are playing quite well in front of that util with so many of these trap plays around these 3 players. So if Burger Boys could try to scan a little bit better and try to find where, you know, the weakness could be, i.e. where the deadlock isn't, they could definitely start working weak side and punish the 2-man hold on the other side of the site.
Sim's being aggro with the op, just hoping to play off the drone ping from Vora, but Burger Boys pushing through market. Vice Wall going to be triggered from the clone. Burger Boy is just kind of waiting out a lot of this util and seeing if TSM We're gonna get desperate to make a play.
I mean, they tried to fake the TP behind the smoke, but before they rotated out for TSM, they threw that wall down. So they could actually have a little bit of gap and room to clear that spot. They realized it's now open, and it was a fake gate crash, and now they could lean towards the A side. So a good read coming through, where 7 still has a net to work with. He could still throw this towards the main along the razor vines. Oh, that timing.
Oh. Should be a kill there for Bora. Recoil wins his one. Oh, everything is lining up nice for TSM.
Hey, ulted for B plant.
12 seconds. Yeah, okay. All up to you, Nanners, on the opposite side of the world. And Retro won't be able to get sight lines for a cutoff against the TSM rotation.
Gotta go quick. They have Armageddon to work with to go in the back of the B site. They also need GMD to move in as fast as possible. You need that smoke towards B main.
Blocking sight.
It's not knowing where Retro is. He saw GMD kind of looking behind him. There's the Armageddon this time from Bora. Kind of really dislodging safe positions from Burger Boys, but it's TSM that are in danger. What a double kill for Retro.
This
Better late than never. And now just no time to defuse Burger Boys. That was clean.
That was, again, a big mistake by TSM. You went from 2 rounds now that it is unfortunately fumbled. Yes, they had some great picks and deniability on the side of 7, but you heard an Omen TP. Why are you going back towards A site? Where are you trying to go? You already have still somebody towards the A site anchoring that spot, and you've over-rotated both of your players and gave up that whole B site. And that makes it a lot more difficult because now that everybody's grouped up and you try to retake towards the B site, well, now Retro has the upper hand because he could just sneak around wherever he needs to go. And he was able to get 2 kills just like that into B main with the perfect timing. There, the first trap play was perfect here. It's everything after that. They did so much damage after that onto Bonnie and Nanners, yet unfortunately still lost all that space and the player advantage at the game. At that moment, I felt like Bora should have just be left for dead and still anchor your sight and try to play at least a stronghold onto B. To play your numbers advantage. They're not doing it so far here for TSM.
Been so many like thrifties and crazy rounds. Burger Boys only lead by 2, but still to do so on offense against a kind of well-drilled team like TSM, who again went the distance against Envy and lost 13-11. This is a TSM team that are expected to win. Like the desk had said, this was supposed to be a one-sided series, and now just based on how well Burger Boys look, they are the ones that seem destined for playoffs. But we'll see how the half breaks down with mid control for Burger Boys. Either crossing into market or thinking about catwalk.
5 rounds on the attack on top of that. When, again, this, for me, is in the composition that's supposed to take down too much on the side of their attack versus TSM, or just in general on paper. TSM's comp just looks much stronger at this point, but 2 slip-ups make it very costly for TSM and allowing Burger Boys to take the lead by 2, and then still get to play the quote-unquote easier side with a Cypher still in the comp.
And the Sentinel swap too, so to get 5 attacking rounds against the 2 Sentinels, so now 7 has sonic sensors all around A. You got Thorns around B, and it's right at the entrance to either catch Bonnie or the people following alongside Bonnie. Now it's all up to these recons or the drone or how Burger Boys hope to sync up perfectly, but it's paranoia from TSM that delays Burger Boys.
God.
But Bonnie still clutches, panic right-clicking into recoil. And Burger Boys are left to scale and finish off what they started. GMD can't even react. Bora's unsmoked, but needs support from Sim, who's holding the op. It's not easy, but I guess with the shotgun, it's better. And if Bonnie goes for a handshake, even better. This is TSM now deciding to save the op after Sim is apparently 1 HP.
And that's the thing. I feel like the buy with the op, I mean, he might even lose it at this point. But I'm going to talk over this. So it almost feels like Sim with the buy with this op is kind of detrimental to the trap plays that they're trying to do here. because he won't be able to try to. Well, maybe it could still work because he could still be the tip of the spear to get a pick, dash away, and they could still play the trap plays around like the salvos and net.
Oh my God.
They definitely need that on the side here of TSM to have that third body to really fight against these type of trap plays. But because they're leveraging this op, they're not playing as too much of a pack mentality as we saw at the beginning of the half with TSM when they're playing Graph Net, Salvos, and the Jet to support. And it's actually throwing them for a little bit of a loop because the players anchoring towards B are now getting fully punished. So the slow play, the slow methodical play coming out from Burger Boys is actually working out in their favor because TSM are not being as proactive trying to find like early information where you get the best value out of anchoring the right spots at the right time.
TSM are trying to slow down the pace of play with all these sentinels, and sometimes you just get run over. Sim at least has the op again. You won't be seeing too much action over at A. And this Vice wall now is adjusted for mid-market after Burger Boys have been exploiting that gap. Still have yet to see the impact of the sonic sensors in tree, and Burger Boys not seeing anything with the drone may give them a sense of security to go check that out.
Oh, they wasted so much util. Yeah, the salvos are not going to kill him, but they're now activating the wall. They're breaking down this wall as well. Now TSM has to thin out their defense and are scrambling a little bit here. Unless their shots are landing this time around, Burger Boys should be able to group up and have good control here of this map.
You just never know what Bonnie's going to be up to, too. They could be wrapping around spawn or cutting off people rotating left from B, so it all seems like a big ruse for Burger Boys. And how they were just pressuring tree and have only lost one person, and now they're back in the lead. A huge flood in by Burger Boys, evicting everyone from B. 13 seconds left to plant, and Bonnie's going to catch TSM before he even try to get into market. Okay, I thought Bonnie would have been able to win that. 1 HP, by the way.
Yeah, upgrades into a Phantom, and hopefully we'll be able to save it. And looking at the minimap, he definitely should be able to. And that's the saving grace, at least going into the next round. That was still a very big buy coming out from the side of TSM. But Burger Boys, I feel like right now with how you're currently playing for TSM, just look at how simple it is. They're playing grouped up 3 players. They're also playing 2 anchored up on B site, and you're trying to leverage Sentinel utility to try to stall when you're double anchoring deep into the weak side. But look at the util that's still available right now from both players, both Sentis. A Razorvine hasn't been used. Sonic Sensor hasn't been used. So right now it's TSM are still playing mid-side way too passively that Burger Boys are starting to mid-round pull these rotates quite well to just be able to flood into, again, more player advantage into a weaker site. Once they realize where the salvos are coming from, they probably have a good idea and good read that the Deadlock and Jet are also on that side.
Basically, how can TSM play with a better heads up on Burger Boys being in mid, or just a better plan on how to deal with it?
Is this finally put Sim on mid with an op? Like finally do something like take mid control.
Yeah, because he was trying to look at A main last time, and
yeah,
now it should have been the opposite. Now he should have been an A main this time.
We set this going to the map that one of the weaknesses too of a Jet is not being able to escape behind Deadlock walls. Now at least they could opt mid.
Just the dimensional driv, Hunter, Scary. You love the combo. Burger Boys are broken in. And also have Retro down below, and he's going to be heard, so Burger Boys need to get this spike down, but how can you now? This op is let loose. It's in position, and Burger Boys have to peek it. And it's a big shutdown to take away the op from TSM and get a plant through. Recoil and GMD do what they can. There's GMD emerging, punished and traded by Nanners. 1v2 for Recoil at 31 HP. Sort of a crossfire, and finished off by Practo.
Yeah, very nice. Took 11 rounds for Burger Boys to finally work the ult with the Yoru combo. So he's just going to go with the Dimensional Drift. Easy Hunter's Fury kill. You don't have to utilize it for the pulse plant anymore because you've done such a good job nullifying the defense over on TSM's A side. And then everything's just history on that side. 5 unanswered rounds for Burger Boys since a TSM timeout. This was a TSM timeout that Burger Boys is still taking advantage of. That's just unfortunate how Burger Boys are just playing their own game and TSM are just not reading into it. And now it's just Burger Boys full committing into a B-side hit.
Oh boy. It's just an all-out war, and Burger Boys come out on top with still the spike in hand. Still an even exchange, but can they race into the site before TSM cut them off? And there's a gap in the cage, but it's still enough to cover the Burger Boys trail into the site, and Vora could have almost backstabbed them.
Spike planted.
At least they went for a shark attack and they got some mid control. A 2v2 with the young guns of Vora Recoil, there might be a chance to salvage at least the last round of this half.
Vora and Recoil working together, and both Burger Boys looking the right side, both swinging to the left. One last 1v1, and this time Recoil gets to win it to give TSM a 4-8 half. But with the double senties, what are your vibes, Vans? Like TSM going into the attacking half? Are we feeling good or not?
Right now, it doesn't look the best, but at least the silver lining is that you had at least the 2 young guns able to salvage that round. That gives you a little bit of room to breathe, even if you lose the pistol round in the second half. I gotta commend at least that swing out from Burger Boys. That was a really nice ping pong swing to guarantee that trade, and Rico had to just commit into the duel fight that he won. But the attack side, it could still be good for TSM because it could still do very similar things as it did on a defense to leverage the net for info. When you're gonna throw the net, you're gonna salvo behind that. Maybe here's some pings on top of that. You can really push some players back and then leverage the walls for like pulse plan and really anchor up like the old school deadlock way when it was like a deadlock cipher from a Total Troop of last year. So there's still a chance, but Burger Boys are looking quite good to shut this down and actually qualify to playoffs before TSM can.
This would be just so insane. No SRB in playoffs, Burger Boys in playoffs, TSM having to go to the last round maybe, and it starts out well for Burger Boys. Retro not only clutches the last round, but gets the spike down, gets a 2-for-1. Wait a minute, it's just so scrappy.
You heard the dash.
Just that multi-kill gives Burger Boys the upper hand. 51 HP and the better timing. Quicker for Bonnie.
Yeah, still pulled the ghost out way too late as soon as he turned around the corner. I would have expected the gun to be pulled out a little bit earlier so you could start jiggling when you heard the dash. But yeah, that's some good fights coming out from Burger Boys. The disrespect that they give here for TSM to say, look, we've got so many rounds on the attack side, 5 in a row. We have a 9-3, 8-4 half, sorry. And let's not give a chance here for TSM to take that minute that they had during the freeze time to really recollect themselves and just fight them back. And you're seeing right now, after losing that pistol, how important it is for NBS to try to get the conversation out with TSM to lay down the plan for the rest of the half, because that's their last time out of the map. And they have to utilize it after a pistol round when they have no idea how Burger Boys have, what Burger Boys have cooked up here for the defense half to try to counter TSM. So you're going to have to be not only be good on the call here from the coach side, but then a huge responsibility on Vora as a rookie IGL in Challengers to call the comeback here for TSM.
Burger Boys taking both pistols is definitely something to worry about. And TSM are 1-6 in the last 7 rounds. So this is important not only to just figure out what to do going forward, but to also kind of mentally lock in. Like if I was a coach, I would just be telling people to lock in, because this is not a typical TSM entry, just leaving corners unchecked. This time we'll see what they do at B with Trip set up to try and catch Sim, and it's tripped up. Double kill for Burger Boys on impact. And now you got sniped through smokes with a Marshall. This is insane. You've only made Burger Boys angry.
Yeah. A snipe through smoke, but thankfully for a recon dart that was thrown there from the side of Practo. So playing solo initiator and still getting good value out of it for Burger Boys. But I think that timeout was super important from the side of MBS2. I think it's also to calm the nerves of TSM to say we can't tilt buy into this round because they didn't get a plant on the first round. So now you're going for the full eco save. You're trying to get a plant. You're trying to get money out for this round. And they didn't get a plant for the second time. So look at their buy. They have one small shield for GMD. Retro's pulling out the Outlaw. But the more damage that they do, the more that TSM has to play flawlessly so that they can build the economy up. If not Burger Boys, I mean, at this point, they're really about to cross that finish line.
TSM have a 2-1-2 split with Sim hoping to get someone's attention in mid. See that TSM are trying to minimize the risks. It's eating up a lot of time now, just trying to see. TSM just don't feel like they have as much info, right? Just how they went in blind the last couple of rounds. They don't know where the Sentinel is set up. Where
and they can't play with info. They can't play with info. They only have one drone off Vora, and that's it. The rest is just going to have to be, hopefully, they walk into our crosshairs, and we could actually do some damage.
Time to frag out, TSM. No info, just vibes. And Sim on top, on the high ground. Traded. TSM need to back him up. And now you're throwing a barrier when Bonnie is in your face. At least 7
30 seconds
will capitalize. And there's a window to plant. Burger Boys are just being so loud with the LMG. So see if they can break. They've already broken down the barrier. And Vora.
Couple salvos.
The salvos too, yeah.
Off sonic sensor, but that's just a delay. So then the next thing is if they try to jump out, there's 2 more sonic sensors that should slow them down.
There's the
one.
cage, the drop down against anyone that would be in hell, and that's Vora. And can't win that against Alvin. And the spike is ticking down, and Alvin is hoping to keep up the win streak for Burger Boys. But TSM post timeout have maybe figured it out.
There was a nice little dash on the top of the generator too from Tree. So that was unexpected on the side of Burger Boys, and he got punished in the back of Dice, and that really allowed TSM to set up a pretty good post plan. So even if you're looking at it from the side of TSM with this composition, with that type of execution, they still have good util to stall so much in the post plan as you just saw. So now coming in from Burger Boys, I mean, this is the first time that they're seeing it into the half. They could start learning a little bit how TSM kind of executes and how 7 still has a lot of his util in the post plan, and they need to take him down early.
Well, Sim wanted his 1v1, and he got it. Not the way you wanted. But TSM now want to chase down wherever that pesky jet went. Now these entries are open, and Burger Boys are watching market like a hawk. And surprisingly, Alvin takes an L. There is a barrel, so Ani, oh, the kind of an awkward timing there. Couldn't get the cutoff he wanted. Now TSM are poised to pressure these defenders. And Burger Boys hold the line. This is next level. The gunfights, that's all TSM had to do was win it. And Burger Boys are different.
Oh my God, they were doing so good at like baiting with the with their guns out so that they bait out the shots. And then 7 swings out for a perfect kill. But then we walked across, not smoking market, not smoking M3, just walking across and getting free pot shots given to them from the side of Burger Boys. And then once they commit, they're like, oh crap, they noticed that we're crossing over. We have to fully commit. They're funneling literally like lemmings into a meat grinder, and it's just not looking good. I'm actually speechless because Burger Boys are taking full advantage of TSM's mistakes, but also playing very good Valorant at the same time. That it just makes me think they can do no wrong, just like that.
Burger Boys just the past couple of rounds are just getting not only first blood, but like an immediate double kill. As soon as TSM make a move, it's just been checkmate.
Portal closed.
Oh, this is tough to watch, but the thing is this is a half buy on the side of TSM. You have rifles to work with, but you're gonna have to try to come back 7 rounds in a row to try to push us into overtime.
there's
7
comfort
rounds.
in knowing, yeah, that there's always next week, but that'll be your last chance.
Good job.
And what an incredible story from Burger Boys to,
Match point.
again, almost got relegated. They were one spot away from getting relegated last split, to making a roster change, to pushing a lot of top teams to the brink, but never defeating them, to now beating TSM, potentially, to go to playoffs for their first time. It's so amazing to see kind of the new generation of talent, although there's some veterans here on Burger Boys, that what they're able to do and who's better on the day.
Yeah. It'll be our second unsigned team qualifying, because I don't think Ambrosia is a signed team either. So this shows that this season of Challengers is quite close. Now a Hail Mary denied by Retro.
Man, TSM are forced to walk through these smokes, and
Oh,
they're
we're
just
not
getting
clearing corners.
absolutely cooked. It's just over. It was over in the minds of TSM, and playoffs bound is Burger Boys. Absolutely cooking TSM in the end to come back after being decimated on map 1